My primary research focus is understanding how environmental stresses impact complex multi-species systems and implications for biodiversity, ecosystem functioning, etc., from local through to global scales. But at present I'm trying to understand the gene to ecosystem consequences of biological systems of climate change in natural systems and experimental systems as well. So we use a range of approaches. These range from mathematical models in silico through to laboratory experiments and then finally through to natural experiments in the real world. So the Mesocosm experiment forms part of this Natural Environment Research Council large grant that we have, which is focused on these gene to ecosystem impacts of climate change. One of the limiting steps for many of the previous ecological studies has been a lack of large-scale experimental manipulation, and this is the only way to really test cause and effect. So what we are doing here, behind me, we have 96 mesocosms, so these are small characterizations of natural systems, which are repeated on a very large scale, so this is one of the largest experiments of this kind anywhere in the world. At present we're in the establishment phase, so this is the early phase of successional colonization of the systems. We will let them settle down into their more natural state, and then within the next year we will start warming them to different levels of warming to understand if there are non-linear or complex responses, if there are particular thresholds or tipping points as the systems warm. So most of my research has been focused primarily for many years on many systems throughout the UK. In the last decade or so, that has expanded particularly to many areas of continental Europe, and in the last few years we have expanded to a focus that is really in the high latitudes. So these are areas particularly where we are looking at quite pristine ecosystems, a long way from direct human influence, so we can study them in as close to the natural condition as we possibly can. So now I have collaborations that really span much of the northern hemisphere, ranging from Alaska through to Kamchatka, Svalbard, Greenland, collaborators within those countries, but also collaborators further south, in Spain for instance, through to Switzerland, Norway, Denmark, as well as many collaborators within the UK. We welcome engagement with the public at different levels, so we have a Royal Society grant now with the local charter school to work alongside us on the pond mesocosm work as part of our climate change study, and this will be working with school kids from the age of 11 onwards through to those who will be getting close to university applications, and we provide this as a way of bringing some science into the curriculum of the local community. And we have a range of positions where we invite people along for maybe a short term to have some work experience, through to potentially being able to employ people on casual labour for a short time to help us process some of the samples or maybe assist us with field work, and then finally through to more formal engagement where we have undergraduate project students, master's project students, and then through to those which are funded directly throughout the course of their studies. We have several PhD students on the large grant now who are funded entirely within the project itself. So we've had several of our students who have been co-authors sometimes and lead authors other times on papers around the topics here which we're working on related to the impacts of stresses, environmental stresses on the environment and ecosystems.